Hey, it's Casino Mike. What's the worst thing you could hear at work? We're letting you go. Or the worst one, you're fired. There's all kinds of reasons. There can be personal conflicts. There can be something you made a big mistake on that they don't like. Or things aren't just going well at the company and they've got to downsize. So the next thing you know, you're out of a job. Maybe you'll have unemployment if you weren't fired. When you're fired, it's for cause, and you're not going to get unemployment unless you appeal it. It was wrongful, and then you can get it. But here's the thing you got to realize: unemployment isn't going to take care of all your expenses. Unemployment is not going to cover a livable income. All right? You have got to have a backup plan. That's your insurance in case something like that happens. You know, we went through a lockdown not too long ago. People didn't, people did lose their jobs because the companies didn't fully hire back or bring back their people. And a lot of people were out of work without unemployment insurance. A lot of the states didn't honor the insurance. I can tell you out here they didn't in Nevada, that a lot of people didn't get their unemployment insurance. So they were out of work. They had to refigure what they were going to do, how they were going to have a job or go into business or something. And that's because they were left out in the cold because companies were trying to just make a comeback. They were trying to get things back in order. And when they realized that was a mistake, the way they did it, they tried to get people back and they couldn't get qualified people back because people had learned their lesson. There was no loyalty. They were exploited all this time. Nobody cared about them. Not at the company. And they were replaced with substandard people. Hey, they wanted to make sure that they could regain their profits. And they, in the long run, they did. But they lost qualified personnel. And they haven't recovered since. People, working people, employees, are assets. And when they're treated like less than assets, that company pays dearly. They do. Eventually, they pay dearly. But for you, you have to find a way to make sure you have some type of insurance. And I'm not talking about systematic insurance like medical insurance and dental insurance and unemployment insurance. That's not always going to come through for you. You've got to find a way to have a backup. Otherwise, you meet your own apocalypse. Nobody has to drop a bomb. They do not have to suffer any kind of invasion or devastation. The big devastation is that now, if you were living paycheck to paycheck, you now are in the hole. You're using your credit cards to survive. You're emptying your savings and retirement accounts to survive. And you're living very roughly. So you have to figure there's got to be something you can do to be able to overcome that kind of crisis. Let's say you have a medical crisis even that causes you to get in this position where you can lose your job and have so many expenses that you go way into debt. What do you do? I mean, you're trying to keep up, and as you're trying to keep up, something else hits you. There's got to be a way for you to be ready for any situation. And that's by having a side income, a supplement income, extra money. You got to have something there that is able to cover you for when there is another crisis. A lot of people living on unemployment don't realize that sooner or later the government can really pull that on them. Just because they say they have 6 months to a year doesn't mean they'll honor it. And the government will help them get out of it. Count on it. Now, when it comes to having a side income, a lot of people on fixed incomes, whether they be Social Security or disability, are afraid they're going to lose it if they add on a supplement income. Actually, that's encouraged by the government that you do get a supplement income so you have a means of living. Because I'll tell you right now, they even know that unemployment really isn't enough to cover all your expenses. So why would you not try to find a way to get, even if you have to get under a certain level, to have that income up so you're not losing your fixed income and losing your way of life, trying to stay below it. I'll tell you, if you really do well, you won't need the fixed income. But a lot of people have in their mind, well, I can't blow that. I got to have my fixed income. And that puts you into a trap. You have got to figure out a way to have a backup plan. Because if you do not have that backup plan, you're in bad shape. Yeah, a lot of people say, well, there's always bankruptcy. What's that going to do for you? That's not going to bring you an income. You can look for another job. And many other jobs, you will end up taking a pay cut or starting at the bottom somewhere. You're better off having some type of training ahead of time. And I'll tell you something, the best one to do is working remote or from home, because then you're not adding on to your expenses to go somewhere for another job and working 2 jobs to try to make up for what you lost, because that's going to wear you down. A lot of people, when they get into doing multiple jobs, they lose touch with their family. They end up in divorces. They tire themselves out to where they end up in the hospital. You're better off finding a way to make that extra money at home. Check out the link below. Think about it if you want to before that, or look into what there is that you could do. And I'll tell you right now, if you don't have a backup plan, because I've been there, it could pretty much ruin you. And you don't want that. Do everything you can to stay above water. Check out the link below. This is Casino Mike. Have that backup plan.